General Marcus Iron Hawthorne was conducting his routine inspection of the weapons maintenance facility when he noticed a young woman methodically adjusting the scope on an M24 sniper rifle with the precision of a master gunsmith. "Sergeant, that's a delicate piece of equipment," he said, assuming she was regular maintenance personnel. "Maybe you should leave that to someone with more experience." Staff Sergeant Mia Ghost Davis looked up from her work and quietly replied, "Yes, sir. I'll be careful." What the general didn't know was that he was looking at the holder of the longest confirmed sniper kill in military history, a record that was classified at a level above his security clearance, and a citation that would make him question everything he thought he knew about precision marksmanship. Staff Sergeant Mia Davis was 26 years old, 5 feet 4 inches tall, with dark brown hair that she kept in a regulation bun, and brown eyes that could see details at distances that challenged the limits of human vision. She had small, steady hands that never trembled, even under the most extreme stress, and a mind that could calculate complex ballistic equations while maintaining perfect emotional control. To most personnel at Fort Bragg, she was just another soldier in the 82nd Airborne Division who worked in the weapons maintenance section and rarely spoke unless spoken to. She had been at the base for 8 months, performing her duties with quiet efficiency while avoiding the attention that came with exceptional performance. But Mia Davis was carrying secrets that would have redefined military understanding of precision shooting if they had been made public. General Hawthorne was conducting his monthly inspection of the base facilities, a routine that he'd performed hundreds of times during his 30-year military career. The weapons maintenance facility was typically staffed by experienced technicians who understood the complexities of military hardware. So seeing a young woman working alone with one of the Army's most sophisticated sniper systems had immediately caught his attention. "Sergeant," he said, approaching her workstation, "what's your specialty?" "Weapons maintenance, sir," Mia replied without looking up from the scope adjustment she was making. Hawthorne studied the rifle she was working on. The M24 sniper weapon system was a precision instrument that required extensive training to operate and maintain properly. The scope alone cost more than most soldiers earned in 6 months, and the rifle system represented decades of military research and development. "How long have you been working with precision rifles?" he asked. 3 years, sir." "And you're comfortable making adjustments to equipment this sophisticated?" Mia finally looked up from her work. "Yes, sir. I understand the system." Hawthorne nodded, but something about her response suggested there was more to the story. The adjustments she was making were extremely precise, the kind of modifications that required not just technical knowledge, but practical experience with long-range shooting. "Sergeant, what's your background before the Army?" "Civilian, sir. Joined straight out of high school." "No prior shooting experience?" Mia hesitated for just a moment. "Some, sir." Hawthorne's curiosity was piqued. The modifications she was making to the rifle were too sophisticated for someone with just basic shooting experience. Her technique suggested she understood not just how the equipment worked, but how it performed under real-world conditions. "Mind if I ask what kind of shooting experience?" "Hunting, sir." "Small game, mostly." It was technically true, but it was also the biggest understatement of Mia's military career. What she didn't mention was that she'd grown up on a ranch in Montana, where her father had been a competitive precision shooter and hunting guide. She'd been shooting rifles since she was 8 years old, and by the time she was 16, she was outperforming adult competitors at regional marksmanship competitions. More importantly, she didn't mention that she'd enlisted in the Army specifically to join the sniper program, where she'd completed training that most soldiers never heard about and achieved results that were classified above the security clearance of most general officers. Hawthorne watched her work for a few more minutes, impressed by her technical competence, still puzzled by the level of sophistication in her rifle modifications. "Sergeant, This is excellent work. Where did you learn these adjustment techniques? Training, sir. What kind of training? Advanced weapons maintenance, sir. Again, technically true, but completely inadequate to explain the level of expertise she was demonstrating. Hawthorne was about to ask another question when his aide, Major Patricia Collins, approached with a folder of documents requiring his signature. Sir, these are the promotion recommendations that need your review before the promotion board meeting. Thank you, Major. Hawthorne took the folder and began reviewing the documents while continuing to observe Mia's work. As he flipped through the promotion paperwork, one document caught his attention. It was a recommendation for accelerated promotion that had been submitted by someone with a security clearance significantly higher than his own. The document was heavily redacted, but what he could see was extraordinary. Staff Sergeant Mia E. Davis, exceptional performance in classified operations, longest confirmed elimination in military history, 3,400 meters, conditions classified. Recommend immediate promotion and assignment to advanced training cadre. Hawthorne stopped reading and looked at the quiet young woman who was still making precise adjustments to the M24 rifle. 3,400 meters, over 2 miles. That would make her shot longer than any confirmed sniper kill in military history, longer than legendary shots that had become part of military folklore, longer than distances that most people considered theoretically impossible for human marksmanship. Sergeant Davis, he said carefully. Yes, sir? According to this document, you hold some kind of record for long-range shooting. Mia's hand stopped moving. She looked up at the general with an expression that suggested she knew exactly what document he was reading. Sir, I'm not authorized to discuss classified operations. Sergeant, this document indicates you made a confirmed kill at 3,400 meters. Is that accurate? Mia met his gaze steadily. Sir, I'm not authorized to discuss the details of classified operations. Hawthorne felt a chill run down his spine. 3,400 meters was a distance that challenged the theoretical limits of rifle accuracy, atmospheric conditions, and human capability. Making a shot at that range would require not just exceptional marksmanship, but an understanding of ballistics that most scientists would find impressive. Sergeant, who authorized this classification? Sir, I don't have access to that information. Hawthorne looked at the document again. The authorization signatures were from officials whose names he recognized, but whose security clearances were significantly higher than his own. Major Collins, he said to his aide, I need you to contact the Pentagon and request clarification on this classification level. Sir, Collins replied, that might take several days to process through the appropriate channels. Hawthorne studied Mia's face, trying to reconcile the quiet young woman making rifle adjustments with the implications of what he'd just read. Sergeant Davis, can you tell me anything about this record that isn't classified? Mia considered her response carefully. Sir, I can confirm that I've been trained in long-range precision shooting and that I've achieved results that exceeded standard training parameters. By how much? Significantly, sir. Hawthorne was beginning to understand that he'd stumbled across something much more significant than a routine weapons maintenance operation. Sergeant, are you currently assigned to sniper operations? No, sir. I'm assigned to weapons maintenance pending reassignment. Reassignment to what? I don't have that information, sir. Hawthorne looked at the promotion recommendation again. The language was carefully crafted to provide information without revealing operational details, but the implications were staggering. If Mia Davis had indeed made a confirmed kill at 3,400 meters, she wasn't just an exceptional soldier, she was possibly the most capable precision shooter in military history. Sergeant, I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I want you to answer as completely as security classifications allow. Yes, sir. Are you the most accurate sniper in the United States military? Mia was quiet for a long moment. Sir, I'm not authorized to make comparative assessments of military capabilities. That's not what I asked. Sir, I can confirm that my marksmanship scores have been exceptional. Hawthorne realized he wasn't going to get detailed information without going through official channels, but he was beginning to understand that the quiet sergeant making rifle adjustments was someone extraordinary. Sergeant Davis, why are you assigned to weapons maintenance instead of active sniper operations? Sir, I requested the assignment. Why? Mia looked down at the rifle she'd been working on. Sir, I needed some time to process my last deployment. Hawthorne nodded. He'd seen enough combat veterans to recognize that exceptional performance often came with exceptional psychological costs. Sergeant, how long have you been in weapons maintenance? 8 months, sir, and before that, classified operations, sir. Hawthorne was starting to piece together a picture of someone whose capabilities far exceeded her current assignment, but who was working in a support role while dealing with the aftermath of experiences that he couldn't even access. Sergeant, do you miss sniper operations? Mia looked up from her work. Sir, I miss certain aspects of the work. Such as? The precision, sir. The technical challenges. The knowledge that accurate shooting can save lives, but not other aspects? No, sir. Hawthorne understood. Sniper operations required soldiers to make life-and-death decisions at extreme distances, often with limited information and enormous consequences for mission success or failure. Sergeant, would you be interested in training other snipers? Mia's expression brightened slightly. Sir, I would find that assignment rewarding. Even if it meant discussing your techniques and experiences? Yes, sir. If it would help other soldiers develop their capabilities. Hawthorne made a decision that would change both of their careers. Sergeant Davis, I'm going to request that you be reassigned to our sniper training program as an instructor. Would you be willing to accept that assignment? Yes, sir. Even if it means you'll be asked about this 3,400-meter shot. Mia smiled for the first time during their conversation. Sir, I think I can discuss the technical aspects without compromising operational security. 6 weeks later, Mia was standing in front of a classroom full of experienced military snipers, preparing to conduct the most advanced long-range shooting seminar in military history. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, my name is Staff Sergeant Mia Davis, and I'm going to teach you about precision shooting at ranges that most people consider impossible. She clicked to a slide showing ballistic calculations for extreme long-range shooting. The longest confirmed sniper kill in military history was achieved at 3,400 meters, approximately 2.1 miles. The shot required understanding of ballistic trajectory, atmospheric conditions, target movement, and human factors that aren't covered in standard sniper training. A veteran Marine sniper raised his hand. Ma'am, who made that shot? Mia smiled. I did. The classroom fell silent. The mission took place during a classified operation, where enemy forces had positioned themselves at a distance they believed made them safe from sniper fire. They were using that position to coordinate attacks against coalition forces, and conventional engagement methods had failed. She clicked to the next slide, showing a detailed ballistic chart. Making a shot at 3,400 meters requires calculating for bullet drop of approximately 800 inches, wind drift that can vary significantly over the bullet's time of flight, atmospheric pressure changes that affect bullet velocity, and target movement that must be predicted rather than observed. An Army sniper in the front row raised his hand. Ma'am, what equipment did you use? Modified M24 system with custom optics, hand-loaded ammunition with specific ballistic characteristics, and environmental monitoring equipment that most snipers don't have access to. How long did it take to set up the shot? Approximately 4 hours to reach the firing position, 2 hours to calculate environmental factors and target patterns, and 30 minutes to wait for optimal conditions. Another student asked, Ma'am, how many shots did you fire? 1. The classroom was completely silent. In precision shooting at extreme ranges, you typically get one opportunity. The sound of the first shot reveals your position, the target becomes aware of the threat, and conditions change. You have to make the first shot count. Mia spent the next 2 hours explaining the technical aspects of extreme long-range shooting, the ballistic calculations, the environmental factors, the equipment modifications, and the mental preparation required to attempt shots that challenged the limits of human and mechanical capability. But more importantly, she explained the decision-making process that determined when such shots were justified. The 3,400-meter shot was taken because enemy forces were using their perceived safety to coordinate attacks that were killing coalition personnel. Conventional engagement methods had failed, and the target represented a critical threat that could only be neutralized through precision shooting. A Navy SEAL raised his hand. "Ma'am, what was the psychological impact of making a shot at that distance?" Mia considered the question carefully. It was simultaneously the most technically satisfying and emotionally difficult shot of my career. Satisfying because it represented the perfect application of everything I'd learned about precision shooting. Difficult because it involved taking a human life at a distance where the target couldn't see the threat coming. How do you deal with that psychological impact? By understanding that precision shooting is about protecting lives, not taking them. Every accurate shot that eliminates a threat potentially saves the lives of soldiers who would have been endangered by that threat. The training program that Mia developed became the standard for extreme long-range shooting throughout the military. Her techniques were classified and distributed only to the most elite sniper units, but her influence on precision shooting capabilities was revolutionary. But for Mia, the most important outcome wasn't the technical innovations or the training programs. It was the knowledge that her skills were being used to teach other soldiers how to protect their teammates through superior marksmanship. The most important lesson about extreme long-range shooting, she would tell her students, isn't about the distances or the technical challenges. It's about understanding that precision shooting is a responsibility that extends far beyond the individual shooter. She would click to a slide showing the aftermath of the mission where she'd made her record shot. That 3,400-meter shot eliminated a threat that had been coordinating attacks for months. The intelligence recovered from the position revealed planned operations that would have resulted in significant coalition casualties. One shot prevented dozens of deaths. A student in the back row raised his hand. "Ma'am, do you think you'll ever make a longer shot?" Mia smiled. "I hope I never have to." The goal isn't to set records, it's to develop capabilities that protect our people and accomplish our missions. If that requires shooting at 3,400 meters, then that's what we do. If it requires shooting at 4,000 meters, then we'll develop the techniques to make that shot. But there must be theoretical limits to how far a sniper can shoot accurately. There are practical limits based on current technology and human capabilities, but those limits keep getting pushed further as equipment improves and techniques advance. 20 years ago, most people thought 1,500 meters was the maximum effective range for sniper operations. Today, we're routinely training for shots beyond 2,000 meters. What do you think the limits will be in 20 years? Mia considered the question. I think the limits will be determined by mission requirements rather than technical capabilities. If protecting American lives requires shooting at 5,000 meters, then we'll develop the equipment and techniques to make those shots. 3 years after General Hawthorne discovered her in the weapons maintenance facility, Mia was promoted to Sergeant First Class and assigned to lead the Army's Advanced Marksmanship Research Program, a classified initiative to develop next-generation sniper capabilities. Her research focused on extending the effective range of precision shooting through improved ammunition, advanced optics, and environmental compensation techniques that could allow snipers to engage targets at distances previously considered impossible. But her most significant contribution was developing psychological training programs that prepared snipers for the mental challenges of extreme long-range shooting. Making shots beyond 3,000 meters requires a different kind of mental preparation, she would explain to program participants. You're not just calculating ballistics and environmental factors, you're making decisions about life and death at distances where conventional rules don't apply. Her program included meditation techniques, stress management, and decision-making protocols that helped snipers maintain psychological stability while performing tasks that challenged human limitations. The technical aspects of extreme long-range shooting can be taught, she would say. The mental aspects require individual development and continuous practice. 5 years after her record shot, Mia was selected to lead a joint international program that shared advanced sniper techniques with allied military forces. Her 3,400-meter shot had been declassified and become a case study in precision shooting programs worldwide. The shot that made me famous, she would tell international students, was notable not because of the distance, but because it demonstrated what becomes possible when training, equipment, and circumstances align perfectly. She would show them detailed analysis of the environmental conditions, target behavior, and tactical situation that had made the shot possible. I didn't set out to break a record. I set out to eliminate a threat that was endangering our people. The record was a byproduct of accomplishing the mission objectives. But for Mia, the most satisfying aspect of her career wasn't the records or the recognition. It was receiving letters from soldiers whose lives had been saved by techniques they'd learned in her training programs. "Ma'am," one letter read, "the environmental compensation techniques you taught us allowed my spotter and me to make a 2,800-meter shot that eliminated an enemy sniper who had been targeting our patrol base. That shot probably saved a dozen lives." Another letter described how her psychological training methods had helped a sniper maintain composure during a high-stress mission that required multiple long-range engagements under combat conditions. "Your stress management techniques were the difference between mission success and catastrophic failure," the letter explained. "When everything went wrong and we were under fire, your training helped me make the shots that got my team out alive." 10 years after General Hawthorne found her adjusting an M24 in the weapons maintenance facility, Mia was serving as the Chief of Advanced Marksmanship Training for the entire Department of Defense. Her techniques were being used by snipers in every service branch, and her research was pushing the boundaries of what was possible in precision shooting. But she still remembered the moment when a curious general had discovered her secret and changed the trajectory of her career. "General Hawthorne saved me from myself," she would tell people who asked about her career path. "I was hiding from my capabilities because I was afraid of the responsibility that came with them. He helped me understand that exceptional skills aren't a burden, they're an opportunity to serve at a higher level." During her tenure as Chief of Advanced Marksmanship Training, Mia revolutionized military sniper education by implementing what became known as the Davis Protocol, a comprehensive training system that combined technical instruction with psychological preparation and ethical decision-making frameworks. The protocol recognized that extreme long-range shooting required more than just technical proficiency. It demanded mental resilience, moral clarity, and the ability to make split-second decisions with far-reaching consequences. "When you're shooting at distances beyond 2,500 meters," Mia would explain to new instructor candidates, "you're not just a marksman, you're a strategic asset, making tactical decisions that can influence entire operations. That level of responsibility requires a different kind of preparation." Her training programs included intensive psychological screening, stress inoculation exercises, and ethical decision-making scenarios that prepared snipers for the realities of extreme long-range engagement. One of her most significant innovations was the development of virtual reality training systems that could simulate the environmental and psychological conditions of extreme long-range shooting without requiring live ammunition or access to ranges that could accommodate shots beyond 3,000 meters. These systems allowed snipers to practice decision-making and stress management in realistic scenarios while developing the muscle memory and mental processes required for successful extreme-range engagements. "Virtual reality can't replace live fire training," Mia would tell program participants, "but it can expose you to scenarios and conditions that would be too dangerous or logistically impossible to replicate in real training environments." The VR system she developed became standard equipment in sniper training programs worldwide and were credited with significantly improving the performance of military marksmen in operational environments. But Mia's most personal project was the establishment of the Ghost Foundation, a non-profit organization that provided support and counseling for military snipers dealing with the psychological aftermath of long-range kills. The foundation was born from her own experiences, processing the emotional impact of taking lives at distances where targets couldn't see the threat coming. She understood that the isolation and responsibility inherent in sniper operations could create psychological challenges that traditional military counseling wasn't equipped to address. Snipers face unique psychological stresses, she would explain to Foundation counselors. They make individual decisions that have strategic consequences, they operate in isolation from their units, and they carry detailed memories of targets they've eliminated. Traditional combat stress counseling doesn't always address these specific challenges. The Foundation provided peer counseling, family support services, and career transition assistance for snipers leaving military service. It also conducted research into the long-term psychological effects of precision shooting and developed treatment protocols specifically designed for military marksmen. Within 5 years of its establishment, the Ghost Foundation was providing services to over 1,200 active and retired military snipers and their families. The Foundation's research had influenced military mental health policies and led to improved support systems for special operations personnel. Taking a life at 3,400 meters teaches you things about yourself and about the nature of warfare that you can unlearn, Mia would tell Foundation beneficiaries. The goal isn't to forget those experiences, it's to process them in ways that allow you to continue serving effectively while maintaining your psychological health. Her work with the Foundation earned her recognition from veterans organizations and mental health advocacy groups, but more importantly, it provided a model for addressing the specific mental health needs of military personnel who performed highly specialized and psychologically demanding roles. 15 years after her record shot, Mia was invited to testify before Congress about the future of military marksmanship training and the psychological support needs of special operations personnel. "Congressman," she said during her testimony, "the capabilities we're developing in precision shooting are advancing faster than our understanding of their psychological implications. We can teach soldiers to make shots at distances that were unimaginable 20 years ago, but we're still learning how to help them process the emotional consequences of using those capabilities." She presented data showing that snipers who received psychological support through programs like the Ghost Foundation demonstrated higher retention rates, better operational performance, and fewer long-term mental health issues than those who didn't receive specialized support. The same attention to detail that we apply to ballistic calculations and equipment maintenance needs to be applied to the mental preparation and psychological care of the people who use these systems, she explained. Her congressional testimony led to increased funding for military mental health programs and the establishment of specialized psychological support units for special operations forces. The 3,400-meter shot that had made her famous remained the longest confirmed sniper kill in military history. But Mia knew that record would eventually be broken by someone using techniques and equipment that she had helped develop. "Records are meant to be broken," she would tell her students. "What matters isn't holding the record. It's pushing the boundaries of what's possible so that the next generation of snipers can protect their people more effectively." And in a world where threats often emerged at distances where conventional weapons couldn't reach them, having snipers who could make impossible shots possible was often the difference between mission success and tragic failure. Looking back on her career, Mia often reflected on how a chance encounter with a curious general had transformed her from someone hiding her abilities to someone sharing them with the world. The weapons maintenance facility where General Hawthorne first discovered her had been demolished and replaced with a state-of-the-art training center that bore her name, the Davis Advanced Marksmanship Training Center. The center housed the most sophisticated sniper training equipment in the world, including the virtual reality systems she had pioneered, environmental simulation chambers that could replicate shooting conditions from around the globe, and research laboratories where the next generation of precision shooting technology was being developed. But for Mia, the most meaningful part of the center wasn't the technology. It was the memorial wall that honored military snipers who had given their lives in service to their country. Every name on that wall represented someone who had used precision shooting skills to protect others, and their sacrifice reminded her daily why her work mattered. Because sometimes the most important shots weren't the ones that broke records. They were the ones that brought everyone home alive. But sometimes, when the mission required it and the conditions were right, those two things could be the same shot. And that was exactly why the military needed people like Mia Davis, not just to make the shots that others couldn't, but to teach others how to make shots that hadn't been possible before. Because in a profession where precision could mean the difference between life and death, there was no such thing as impossible. There were just distances that nobody had figured out how to reach yet. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, you can subscribe to see more incredible stories like this one.